This is a video from eSkills Zone. For more videos, notes, and certificates, please visit www.eskillszone.com.
Hello and welcome. Hi viewers. Today in this video we will discuss module number 23 of course A Beginner's Guide to Java Programming Language, and the topic we're going to discuss today is called if-else statement. So let's start. The if condition statement or if statement is used for checking conditions and making decision based on it. If is a fundamental and important construct in Java. It is used for making decision based on a condition. There are three flavors of if construct, and they are: number one, if condition; number second, if condition instructions, else instructions. So you can see that the condition is enclosed in parentheses, whereas the instructions are always enclosed in greater than and less than symbol. And the third flavor is if condition. Once again, the condition is closed in parentheses, and then instructions once again, else if instructions, else instructions. The condition has to evaluate to a boolean true when more than one condition matches the execution. The first matching condition code is only executed. Other matching condition code will not be executed. Let's understand with the help of an example. And now we will execute a program in Java programming language. We will execute our program using Eclipse, the IDE which is typically used to execute a Java programming language. So let's switch to the IDE, viewers. So here we are where the Eclipse IDE. We'll click on this button and click on the Java project. From here we will type the name of the project is using if condition, name of the project, and then click on the next button, click on the finish button, and name of the module we just want to create a program, create button. And now you can see this is here, it is the project. We're going to work on it, and now we'll click on the module, right click on it, delete it, okay, and then right click on the src folder, go to the new option. From here we'll click on the class. So here we'll type the name as program, and then always need to click on this public static void, which will create a main method in the program. Very important. So all the programs are actually called in this main method section. So here we will first give the description of this program as using if condition, and the first class we will create is class program, and then under this section we will create a method named static void if ops, name of the method, and we will define an integer variable named int I, defined as initial value 10, and then we will check if this I is greater than 5, which is a true condition. So we're gonna check it, and then if this condition becomes true, then we will display the output as system.println under double quotes I is greater than 5. So we will create one more method. Name of the method, we're going to create one more in this program, and we'll say the name of the segment is static void if ops2, and under this very method we will declare a boolean, data type boolean b is equal to true. Then we'll have initialized the value, defined it, declared it, and defined it at the same time, and then we'll check if b, which contains a true value, then it will display system.out.println b is true. So whatever is enclosed in double quotes using with the system.out.println statement is used to display the output on the screen will be displayed as it is on the screen. We'll just type b is true, else if this condition becomes false, so next statement will be executed, which is println b is false. Since b is true, so this statement will be executed and b is true will be displayed on the screen, because we have already declared and defined b as true. So this statement will be executed, and the output which we will see on the screen, the next output after this one will be b is true. So this condition becomes false after the else section. So b is true, b is false will not be displayed on the screen. So you will find interesting. So if condition, if else, and if else, if else are always very interesting programming techniques. Now we'll use one more method, and the name of this method is static void if ops3, and this structure of this method we will declare and define integer I equal to 8, and then we will check if I equal to 5, which is a false condition, which means that we'll give a comment over here like is equal to is an equality operator, and if this condition becomes true, what will happen? We will display system.out.println, which means that I value is 5. Since I value is 8, so this condition becomes false. Now we'll check with the else statement, else if I equal to 6, then what will happen? We'll copy this system.out.println statement, we'll paste over here and type I value is 6, else if one more statement will be used, and to check if we'll copy these two lines from here and paste over here and type if I equal to 7, then system.out.println I value is 7. So every time the condition becomes, we're gonna check I against 5. If this condition becomes true, then I value is 5 will be displayed on the screen, but if I is equal to 6, I value is 6 will be displayed on the screen. But if the value of I is equal to 7, then system.out.println I value 7 will be displayed on the screen. Since the value of I is 8, which means that all these condition becomes false, then this portion right after the else statement will be executed, which is system.out.println, and under the parenthesis double quotes, the value of I is plus I. So whatever is stored in I, which is 8, will be displayed on the screen. This portion will be executed because the value of I is not equal to 5, not equal to 6, not equal to 7, which means that the portion, which means that all if the I will be checked against 5, 6 and 7, then in the end, if all this above condition becomes false, then this condition right after all above 3 conditions will be executed. So this statement, the value of I is plus I, means the value stored in I, which means that 8 will be displayed on the screen, and the result which will be displayed on the screen will be the value of I is space colon space 8, because the value of I is 8. Now we will call all above these 3 methods, if OPS, if OPS2 and if OPS3 in the main method, and we'll see the output. So you can see this is to do auto generated method stub. Over here we will call this function if OPS. So whenever you need to call under the main method all above 3 functions, you need to type parenthesis and then semicolon. This way all the functions are called in Java programming language, and the second one is if OPS2 and the last one is if OPS3. So the program is complete. Now I'm gonna run this program and see the output and see what are the outputs. Since we can see I is greater than 5, this condition is true because I value is 10, I is greater than 5, which means the value is 10, so I is greater than 10 will be displayed on the screen. And over here the value of B is true, so B is true will be displayed because we have already declared and defined B as a true. So this condition becomes true if B, the portion after the else, will be ignored. Or in this method, all these conditions, if I is equal to 5, if I is equal to 6, if I equal to 7 will be ignored, will be false statements because all these conditions are false. So the else, so the portion right after the else statement, the value of I is equal to plus I, which means the value which is stored in I, which is 8, will be displayed on the screen. So the result which we will get on the screen is the value of I is space colon space 8. So I'm going to run this program. We will go and click on this button, run Java program. From here we'll click the run as option and click on the Java application. So you can see the output. The first one is I is greater than 5, B is true, and then the value of I is 8. So this is the output of the program, viewers. This is how we can see that how we can use if conditions, if else if, and if else if else. Now here we will discuss the code snapshot of this program we just executed in Eclipse about the if else if statements, how to use all these if else conditions. So first we have declared and defined integer I variable, type is integer, and the value we initialized it with was 8, and if we check if I not a boolean condition, system dot out dot print ln I value is 5, else if I equal to 6, then system dot out dot print ln I value is 5. We'll type I value 6, and else if I equal to 7, I value is 7 if the value of I becomes 7, but since the value of I is 8 and I is not a Boolean condition, so in the end we will use just else statement, and we use system.printout.println and display that the value of I is plus I, which is 8. The value of I is plus I, so the value stored in I8 will be displayed on the screen. So the output is an error. So you can see that we have used here, when this program will be executed, will create and generate an error, because here we have declared the value of I as integer and given a value of integer like 8, but here we are checking as I as a Boolean, so the type of the I must be declared as Boolean over here. So after executing this condition, then you will get an error which is an incompatible type integer cannot be converted to Boolean. So you will receive an error, and then this program will not be executed just because of the type mismatch error. Here you are using as a treating I as a Boolean, but here you have declared I as an integer. So whenever you need to check the value of I, you have to check like this. You have always need to use an inequality parameter and give a value against which you're gonna check the value of I if the condition is true or false. So this program will not be executed, and let's see, we can execute this program in Java and see how we can receive an error while executing a program like this. Now we will create a program and click on this button on Java project, and over here we'll type using if as not a Boolean condition. And we'll click on the finish button. Once again, type name of the module as program, generate comments, create, and now I have this program, but we need to delete this one and create a new class. So we'll right click on the src folder, go to the new option. From here we'll click on the class, and now I'll give the name as program and click on this public static void main, which is very important to check in. We'll click on the finish button. Now we'll give the description of this program as if construct can only take a Boolean condition. So we will create under the class program, we will create a method named static void main check, and this structure of this method static void main static void check, we will first declare the variable as integer I equal to 8. So you can see that the type of the I is integer variable and the value we have assigned is also integer, so no problem in it at all. And after that we will check if I over here not a Boolean condition. Why it's not a Boolean condition? Because we have not used I as a Boolean. Since if you click on this and take and drag your mouse over this cross, you can see multiple markers at this line. Syntax error on token statement expected after this token type mismatch cannot convert from integer to Boolean. But if I use Boolean type like this, then you can see there will be still an error, and if you check it, then you can see statement expected after this token means we have used value 8 as a Boolean, and if I give true, then you see that there will be no error, and this is a syntax error. So if I declare I as a Boolean and assign a value true to it and check if I means that if I is true, and use system.out println and declare I is true and give a semicolon, and now call this method over here like check and run this program, then there will be no error at all. So I'm going to run this by declaring it a Boolean type. You can see I is true, but since we have used integer I and given a value 8 to it, so there will be an error. So it's not a Boolean condition, means that this condition becomes false, and then the system.out or println I value is 5 will become false, and we will receive an error right after executing the program because the value of if is not a Boolean type. And if we check it against using else if statements, we can check multiple checks. Else if I equal to 6. This is the correct way of using it, because we have declared I as integer over here. So the way we are using if I is equal to 6 is a type of checking an integer variable against an integer value. So I's value is 6, and then we will use on more check and type copy this line and then paste over here, and then type if else if I equal to 7, then system.println I value is 7. Since we have received an error here, so the program will not be executed right after the line number 5, and we will receive an error, and in the end we will check else. Over here we will just check if else the value, this condition becomes false, this also becomes false, it also becomes false. This one we will check if the value of I is, so whatever is stored in I will be split over here. The value of I is plus I. So now we will execute it, this program, and you will see that you will receive an error. So you can see error exists in required project using if not a Boolean condition. So proceed with launch, yes. So you can see that we have received errors like type mismatch cannot convert from integer to Boolean. So here we have declared variable as integer, and over here we have been using throughout as integer in this statement. Over here from line number 8 till line number 14 we have checked like integer I as an integer, but in line number 5 we have checked I as a Boolean, so it's not a Boolean type, so the compiler cannot convert integer to Boolean. So you can see error and the program will not be executed. But if we have used this as and if I equal to 5, then you will see the output as the value of I is plus I, because this condition becomes false, this will also become false, it also becomes false. It also because the value of the value is 8, which is greater than 5, 6 and 7. So this portion right after the else, which is different from all others and will be executed. If all above condition becomes false, then this condition right after the else statement will be executed. So we will receive the output. The value of I is at 8. So I'm going to run this program and show you the output if we give and assign the value and remove I and replace I and type I equal to 5. I'm going to run it. So you see the value of I is 8. So this section is executed. So viewers, that was the source code. I have just copied and pasted over here. That was the program we have used, and we have declared and used the value, declared the value I as an integer, but we have tried to use it as boolean, but since the type cannot be converted from integer to boolean, so we will have received an error. And the error you can see here, the screenshot of the output. Exception in thread main java.language error, unresolved compilation problem, type mismatch, cannot convert from integer to boolean. So whenever you try to use a different you declare a different data type variable and try to check it with a different data type, like if you declare it as an integer and try to check as boolean, you will always receive an error. So it is necessary and important that once you declare the type, all the conditions type must match the variable type. And in the end, the summary of this if else statement is the if construct can only take a boolean condition if the condition is not boolean, then it would yield into a compiler error. The below if condition is used for decision making, input for if condition is a boolean and only first matching condition is executed. So that's all, viewers. Thanks for watching. In our next video we will discuss more about if else programs. That's all.